I never imagined my quiet suburban nights would turn into a battleground over electricity. When the HOA president started secretly plugging her Tesla into my outlet, she thought she was clever. But she didn't realize every stolen charge came with a price. And when she pushed too far, I pushed back hard. When my wife and I bought our home in Maplewood Estates, I pictured slow weekends, morning coffee on the porch, and quiet evenings fixing things in my garage. I worked as an engineer remotely, so peace and predictability were my luxury. Our neighborhood was pristine, identical lawns, shiny cars, and obsessed with order. At first, I didn't mind. The HOA president, Karen, seemed polite enough. She handed us a welcome basket, smiled too widely, and warned, "We take community rules very seriously here." I thought nothing of it. My garage became my retreat. Tools lined neatly, LED lights overhead, and an outdoor outlet I sometimes used to charge my power tools. Neighbors waved, dogs barked in rhythm, and life felt steady. Until 1 month later, I noticed something strange. My electricity bill doubled. I brushed it off as a fluke. But as the days passed, I realized something, or someone, was quietly draining power right from under my nose. The first time it happened, I found my drill battery dead, even though I'd charged it overnight. Then the garage lights flickered for no reason. By week's end, my bill showed another mysterious spike. At midnight one Thursday, I heard a faint click outside, the sound of a plug sliding into a socket. I peeked through my blinds and froze. Under the soft glow of the streetlight, a woman crouched near my driveway. She was plugging something into my exterior outlet. I turned on my porch light, and she bolted, her silver Tesla visible for a second before speeding off. My camera caught just enough of her face to confirm what I couldn't believe, Karen. The same woman who fined my neighbor for leaving garbage cans out too long was sneaking onto my property to steal electricity. I checked the footage 3 times just to be sure. The next morning, I confronted her politely during her walk. She laughed. "Oh, sweetie," she said condescendingly, "your outlet's right next to the sidewalk. It's practically community access." Community access. Those 2 words stuck with me. I knew then that this wasn't just theft. It was arrogance disguised as authority. And I wasn't going to let it slide. I printed the security footage, circled her Tesla, and walked straight to the HOA office. Karen was there, sipping coffee, pretending to read paperwork. When she saw me, her smile froze. "Can I help you, Mr. Harris?" she asked, voice sharp as glass. "You can stop stealing from my outlet," I said, sliding the photos across her desk. She barely glanced at them before chuckling. "You're really going to accuse your HOA president of theft? Careful, that's slander." Then she leaned forward, whispering, "You might want to reconsider making enemies around here." That's when I understood exactly who I was dealing with. A woman used to winning through intimidation, not truth. Within days, I started receiving petty violation notices. Mailbox too tall. Grass 0.5 inches above limit. Unauthorized color on front door. She was retaliating. But while Karen played her power games, I was preparing something far more effective. I set up hidden cameras facing every outlet and installed a smart energy tracker. If she touched my property again, I'd have undeniable proof. She thought she was untouchable. She had no idea she was walking straight into a perfectly legal trap. I've always believed data is the most powerful weapon. So I spent a weekend wiring a separate meter just for the outdoor outlets. Every watt pulled would be logged automatically. Meanwhile, I started documenting every HOA violation she committed herself. Illegally parked vehicles, unauthorized garden lights, and her Tesla left idling overnight on community property. By the end of the week, my files were thicker than the HOA handbook. The next Friday at 2:17 a.m., Karen returned. My cameras caught her pulling up quietly, headlights off. She plugged her Tesla into my outlet again, and within seconds, the new meters started recording. The next morning, I exported everything, video, timestamps, and power logs, and sent it all to the local utility company's fraud department. Stealing electricity from a private property wasn't just a petty dispute. It was a criminal offense. While waiting for their response, I decided to give Karen a taste of her own tactics. I installed a simple but legal load regulator on my exterior circuit. It didn't harm anything, but when someone pulled too much power at once, it triggered a harmless shutdown surge, enough to trip her car's charger and record the overload. That night, when she plugged in again, the trap was set. And this time, everyone would know. At 2:43 a.m., my phone pinged, a live alert from my camera. Karen was back, charging cable in hand. She plugged in, smirked, and leaned against her car, scrolling her phone. Then pop. The lights around her flickered. The Tesla charger beeped in protest, then went dead. She frowned, unplugged, plugged again, another spark. The regulator had tripped exactly as designed, sending a controlled surge that cut her connection safely but dramatically. She stumbled backward, furious. My camera caught everything, her yelling at the charger, slamming her car door, and speeding off into the night. By morning, half the neighborhood had heard about Karen's Tesla meltdown. Word spread fast. Later that day, I received a call from the power company. They'd review my report and video evidence and confirmed unauthorized usage. An investigator was visiting the HOA office that afternoon. Karen's perfect facade began to crack. When she tried to spin the story at the next HOA meeting, claiming a misunderstanding, the utility investigator interrupted her presentation with a folder full of evidence. Photos, power logs, timestamps, all with her signature Tesla in frame. The silence in the room was electric. Karen had finally short-circuited her own reputation. The fallout was immediate. The HOA board voted to suspend Karen pending investigation. Neighbors who once feared her began sharing their own stories. Unjust fines, favoritism, threats. Turns out, I wasn't her only victim. She'd been charging her car from multiple homes while claiming maintenance checks. The community gathered for an emergency meeting. I wasn't planning to speak, but when they asked for comment, I stood. I didn't do this for revenge, I said. I did it because no one should have to fear their own HOA. Applause filled the room. Even the board members looked relieved. Within a week, Karen resigned, citing health reasons. Rumor had it the utility fined her thousands for power theft. Her Tesla sat idle for weeks, symbolic of her downfall. For the first time in months, the neighborhood felt peaceful again. And I could finally plug in my drill without worrying someone else was siphoning power. A new HOA president took office, someone fair, transparent, and actually decent. They scrapped dozens of Karen's arbitrary rules and offered public apologies for the harassment she caused. The power company installed secure smart meters for anyone who wanted them, ensuring no future community charging. Karen quietly sold her house and moved away. One afternoon, I walked outside, plugged in my tools, and smiled. The outlet that once symbolized conflict now felt like victory, a small socket of justice. Sometimes, karma doesn't strike with thunder. It hums softly through the wires you protect. If there's one thing this taught me, it's that fairness doesn't need force, it needs facts. People in power often assume rules protect them, but rules mean nothing without accountability. So if you're ever bullied by an HO, remember this. Document everything, stay calm, and let the truth do the work. In the end, justice isn't loud. It's quiet, precise, and undeniable. And sometimes all it takes to expose a bully is one outlet and a little spark.